unlike the first Maamar, which is the Fiach Barichis, the second Maamar is much more bekitzer. And it's not fully clear what's he trying to say, other than speaking about what's the Pshat Avraham, Hashem Berechs Avraham Bakoil, what exactly is Bakoil, who is Bakoil, but what's he trying to say there? What's the Nekuda? I know they went through the Maamar. What's the Nekuda? What's the Nekuda he's saying in the Maamar, and what's the Hisaf on the previous Maamar? How do you understand it? In one line, 2 lines. Okay, Ragil, there's no wrong answer. I'll only slug it up, but it's not. Huh?
Seems to me.
Yeah.
I did because I didn't do the last 2 paragraphs. So this is all based on.
Okay.
Maamar to the last 2 paragraphs.
Right. Oh, Mendel, yeah, he wants to call in. Whatever, you can't hear. It's the phone works down here.
Fancy phones.
Like
The dumb phones are the one that actually work down here. Yesh laharich, yeah. Mendel, yeah.
It seems like the Rebbe is basically just bringing another 2 Pirushim and tying that in to what we said last time.
Okay. Right, the first Maamar is more Miyosed on Samach Vav, so it's more the style of the Rebbe Shmuel Seidin and Hasbara. This is a shtickle Miyosed on a Maamar in Eretera. So there's some Midrashim, some Zoyars. Right, but the shadow is the adding an Indian Toichni, right? Is there a different that you haven't found it? Okay, so Ken Zayin, I'm going to try to say here something that I think, again, it's not clear in the Oasis, but after learning it a few times, I think this is what the Rebbe is trying to say, but before in other places, in other Maamarim, similar in Musagim. Before we go in there, something very interesting. You see over here that has the Hashlamis and the Isafis to the Maamar, so you see over here how the Rebbe started this Maamar. So last week I mentioned that the previous Maamar, Chav Cheshvan, so I check it up, it's the first Chav Cheshvan Farbrengen of the Rebbe. Meaning until Tavshin Lamed Hey, the Rebbe would Farbrengen Chav Cheshvan only falls on Shabbos. So it was a special Shabbos, Yom the Pagra, so it was a mix of Shabbos and Yom the Pagra, it would be a Farbrengen. But to make a Farbrengen on a day when it's in the weekday, it was a certain get, right? In the early years, Rebbe only Farbrengen, get the Kislev, get Shvat, B'cholu. So this was the first Farbrengen that the Rebbe actually Farbrengen Chav Cheshvan, and you could hear the first Maamar, you could hear it on tape, it's about 20 minutes, 21 minutes, the Maamar, Gishmak and Maamar. So that's the first Maamar. This Maamar was Behemshech was on Shabbos. So over here, there's a Sikha before the Maamar. What I understand is that the Rebbe, the Sikha became the Maamar. It was Maamar Kain Sikha. So the Sikha was sort of a Akdama to the Maamar was part of Behemshech to the Sikha. It wasn't a Niggin before. And the way the Rebbe did Eigen in them is that by the Farbrengen, so already started Chav Cheshvan, and this you could hear on audio. And then at Hemshech Shabbos, the Rebbe started gekocht in Shlemus Aretz, Miu Yehudi. It seems that the Chav Cheshvan Farbrengen was Mamish and Arichis. And then came Shabbos, and the Rebbe weiter spoke about a Mamish Barichis long Sichis. But by the Chav Cheshvan Farbrengen, the Rebbe said he's going to speak about it now, and with them at the Yitzhak, he's not going to speak about it anymore. But then came Shabbos, and Lang Sichis, the Rebbe Geret Wegen them. As the Rebbe says here that the Rebbe spoke for 50 minutes. And so the Rebbe asked, I said by the previous Farbrengen, I'm not going to have to talk about it anymore. So the Rebbe says here, there's a very stark Oisius here, and some of the Oisius here are missing. You see that in the Hashlamis, they have it. That the Rebbe said that I have to speak about it again because 2 inyanim happened. Number one, the Rebbe was speaking about a party in Eretz Yisrael, politik, that wasn't helpful. It was a Fruma party, but it wasn't helpful for Miu Yehudi. It happens from time to time. The Rebbe's main tightness in the Farbrengens, the Shem starts Miu Yehudi, was bigger to the Fruma parties. The Freie say that the Rebbe always brought halacha, Shem Chavtes, we get Shem Zaretz, Miu Yehudi. You say this of Yiddishkeit. That for whatever reason, for political reasons, they didn't stand strong. So someone came from one of these parties and put, as this delegation and the Chaver Knesset, I guess, came to America, they made a whole shturim and they put ads in the papers speaking about the Geidol HaShevach of this party and this person. So the Rebbe said they made such a shturim in the newspaper, so I have to be moicha, I have to say something. And hopefully this will stop it, or at least it'll compromise it, as the Rebbe says over here. And the second Indian is the Rebbe says that he got a warning that if the Rebbe is not going to stop speaking about this and against it, the Rebbe should know, as Rebbe got this warning, the Rebbe should know they're going to talk about the Rebbe in the papers, and they're going to put things in the Rebbe says, I know the way it works in the papers, that they're going to say things, they're going to put things in my mouth that I said in the Farang that I didn't say, and I can't really be makrish. So they gave me this warning. So the Rebbe said, whoever had this idea to give me this warning, obviously don't know my nature, don't know my teva, that when you give me such kind of threats, it makes me out of Rebbe. I'm going to make another Farang, I'm going to speak about it even more. I saw somewhere the Rebbe said, and I'm not sure if it's Tchunas HaNefesh from the Nefesh Alikiyas or the Nefesh Bahamis. So there's not enough here. Oh, but Razai is my Tchunas HaNefesh. Rebbe said it's bringing here. That line is not here, but see, there's a few missing. There's 3 dots. Yeah. And therefore, usually I speak about it for a half hour. Now I spoke about it for 50 minutes in the Sikha before the Maamar. And hopefully it's Poil Pulasi. The Rebbe said, but all this, I don't want to speak about it. This is Pashat. Because of what's going on, I have to speak about it. Beikir, what do I want to talk about? And starting from to be mamshich, the was mit geretten the Friedike verbringen the previous Maamar, and here the Rebbe reingegangen in the Maamar. That's why the Rebbe came to this Maamar. From all this Agmas Nefesh, which connects to the Teichon the Rebbe is saying about that in order to reach Helam Atzmi, you have to go through all kinds of Menias Vikuvim and Nisyonis and Erchayzer. So they're saying after this whole shturim and all this craziness, but now we can actually learn chassidus. Less taman like kashi v'li machlekes. In other words, in kudus to get out of the meniyas, to get out of the alamas besteir. Fine. And here the Rebbe came into the Maamar. Okay, so what's the Rebbe saying here in this Maamar? So it picks, in a way, it picks up where the Rebbe left off the previous Maamar, as he said. Right at the end of the first Maamar, it speaks about yichudim zivug. The Yichud Yitzchak V'Rivka, which has Mavur in Chassidus, is the Nisuin Klalim, and at Rabbi Chlal Teiro Mitzvah says Yichud Ma'uban. Right, this is the Teiro Eir, and everyone many Verbringens, many Chaysar Verbringens. That Yichud, that Yitzchak V'Rivka is Yichud Ma'uban. Chlal Gans Teiro Mitzvah is Yichud Ma'uban, and Nisuin Yitzchak V'Rivka is Yichud Ma'uban Klalim. Now, here in this Maamar, the Rebbe brings from Eretz Torah a very interesting Inyan that the Rebbe himself says that it's davar bilti ragil. It's on the second page of this Maamar. That's a davar bilti ragil b'chassidus to do this, where he brings, so the Tzemach Tzedek brings a suffix that Arizal has in that the Rav Chaim Vital has brought in the Kutter Arizal. If the Nekud of Zivug v'Yichudim be'etzem happened, b'meya obviously loy. Meaning, so we know that Holy Teiro Mitzvah is Yichud Ma'uban. Without getting into all the Kabbalistic Dorim, according to Kabbalah, the whole Indian of Teiro Mitzvah is Yichudim. Right? There's a Yichud Chitzoini that exists be'etzem in Brias Oilam, which is always here. The fact that there's a world is a Yichud Chitzoini. And then there's a Yichud Pnimi, which is through Teiro Mitzvahs, where the spheres are misyached ba'ifin pnimi, and through that there's a tesefes or ba'olamis, and brings gilal likos into olamis. That's the general nikoda. Now, so the shaila is, these yichudim, do they start only by Matan Torah, or also by Mea Avis? Because you know the Avis were also Mekayim Torah mitzvahs. Avraham kiyim kol Torah kula, Yitzchak kiyim kol Torah, and Bimei Aviseinu they parish yeshiva. Right? They always had yeshiva, they had Torah mitzvahs. The shaila is, were they yichudim? Right, so you have a nigla that's in the vart. Were they mechoyev? Were they mitzvah v'oizer or not? What's the get of the mitzvah for Matan Torah? Right, on Kut Sichas, this is one of the big sugyas in Chelik, in the early Chalakim. Chelik Hey. There's a whole set of sichas where the Rebbe read their Indian. What's the gather of the where the obvious where the Mekayim will call Teiro mitzvahs? What's the gather of their Kiyum Teiro mitzvahs? That's al pi nigla. Then there's al pi chassidus, and there's al pi kabbalah. Al pi kabbalah, they need al pi Teiro mitzvahs is yichudim. So the shaila is when Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, the Shvatim, when they did the mitzvahs, was there an element of yichudim there? Was there yichud? Zivug. So it's a shaila. So the Tzemach Tzedek brings in Eretz Torah that we could push at the suffix of the Rav Chaim Vital from Medrash and Zoyar. So the Rebbe has an interesting lashon here. The Rebbe says that this is a davar bilti ragel b'chassidus. That chassidus should try to be placed a suffix or Rav Chaim Vital from Medrash or Zoyar. So l'chayra, Rav Chaim Vital didn't know Medrash. He didn't know Zoyar. Right? He had the Medrash and Zoyar, but still he couldn't figure it out. But the Tzemach Tzedek here comes and it's placed at the suffix. Fine. How's he placed at the suffix? So here he brings a very big kitzur, and the Kudah is like this: that the Zoyar says, when the Rebbe speaks about Tfilas Arvis or Shuls, he says like this: that Avraham was the Indian of Chibuk biyamin. Yitzchak was Shnei Droi Tachas Reishay, both Zroyas, the Yamin, the Shmuel, and but the Yichud Atzmi Nasa Yidei Yaakov. So the Kilo Avraham and Yitzchak, it was what's called the Zivug Neshikin or Zivug. It was Indian of Chibuk, but not actual Zivug. And Zivug itself, Yichud itself, happened through Yaakov. That's the Zoyar. The Medrash, there's a fascinating Medrash. We know the end of the Medrash that's brought in Perek Lamed Beis Tanya, Yaakov Asher Padas Avram. Right, so the Medrash says, Zacharias Brisi Yaakov, Avram, Nitzal Mikivshin. Why was Avram saved from Kivshin Esh? B'schus Yaakov. Because of so Avram was supposed to perish in the Kivshin Esh by Nimrod. Why was he saved? Because of Yaakov Avinu. And he brings the mashal. The mashal is Hoya Ayimid V'Nidin. There was someone that was Sarach B'Melech, went against the king and was supposed to be punished. Then the astrologers came and they told the king Mizet that this person, his daughter, is going to marry. The prince will be the next queen. He says, "Oh, his daughter is going to turn into the next dynasty. Let's save him because of his daughter." This is the mashal, yeah? What's in the nimshal? Avram is about to be burnt by the stake, and that's what's supposed to happen, right? You think he was saved by Kivshan Eish because of the Mesiras Nefesh, and right? Hidach was saved, Haran wasn't because he believed. But with all that, somehow he was still supposed to. He would have been killed. But then we look down the line and we see Avraham will have Yitzchak, which will have Yaakov. Al Beis Yaakov asher pado es Avraham. Yaakov is poida Avraham. B'schus Yaakov, Avraham is saved. So Yaakov is considered over here a daughter. Right, so that's the mashal and nimshal. Now, like you said, what's interesting, mashal and nimshal, why would we bring a daughter when you're talking about a grandson?
I was talking more of the side, like this person did a negative thing. Avraham Avinu was spreading
Okay.
He had his own chosen to save him. Mashiach and the other.
So different Zogin, that's the Havana that he didn't. In other words, I'm not going to. I don't want to pontificate why, and it's because of Terach or earlier life, whatever. But that's the part. He himself, he wouldn't have been saved, but b'schus Yaakov. So Bas. Okay, so now the child like this. The mashal and nimshal, here we bring a Bas, and here we bring a grandson. We call Yaakov the Bas. Right? So B'chlal, in Chazal, a lot of times it's a Melech and a Bas Melech and a Ben Melech. Right? But here we bring the Bas. When it's talking about Yaakov, what's the vart? So the vart is that the Nekuda of Bas is that the Bas will marry the next king. Right? So the point of the Bas is that by the Bas there will be Yichud im HaMelech. That's the oimek of the Bas. That's the Nekuda of Bas. That from this person, their offspring will come into a union with the following king, with the next dynasty of kingdom. So let's translate that into the Nimshal. Avram, but he didn't have the Nekuda of the union, the Yichud, the Zivug. Yaakov represents the Yichud. That's why he's called the Bas, because he has that Yichud. Yaakov starts the Yichud. So now Lefizeh. Okay, so basically, according to this Zoyar and this Medrash, Vas Kumtois, we have a child. Was the concept of Yichud by the Avis before Matan Torah, based off what it says, and based off the Chacha that we bring from the Zoyar and the Medrash, what comes out? That it started by Yaakov, right? Not, we're somewhere in the middle. It Taka started before Matan Torah, but not by Avram Avinu. It started by Yaakov, and b'schus Yaakov, Avram says. But then he goes on and says, "But the emes is that Chana already started by Avram. Chas v'shalom to Zakein that he didn't have the yichud. The end of this keta of the Yom Hektiv. El shoya boyfriend shal Chana, right? And in a way you could say, Ha gufa the Yaakov asher padas Avram. Yaakov ends up being paid Avram. One second, but if the yichud starts by Yaakov, so what is it? So because of your grandson? So why isn't it paid the terach? Why not paid the go all the deiros back? So obviously, even though the Yichud, as we know, it starts by Yaakov, but there's something here that already Al Kapon Ma'achon Lazeh and Me'enza already by Avraham. And then he breaks down and says, okay, so where do we see this Yichud by Avraham? This is Hashem Berachas Avraham Bakoil. Bakoil, so what's Bakoil? So he starts off in the Maamar, based on what he said in the previous Maamar, then Nekuda is, so first of all is Bakoil, what he said earlier Maamar, Bakoil is in Alps, right, in Klali, Lamayla Mischalkos. Then we said that Bakoil goes on Ben. But then in this Maamar he brings two inyanim to get to Bas. One is that Bakoil means a daughter. On Nachmar Pratius, Bakoil means the name of the daughter. That he had a daughter with the name Bakoil. Okay, so here we see, go back to the medrash of the melech and the bas, the not so b'schus pitoi. So instead of having to jump to Yaakov to find the bas, the Yaakov is the concept of bas, of the yichud. Here we see already in the world of Avram. In Parshas Chayesar we already have a bas. Avram, Hashem berachas Avram bakoil. So already Avram has bas, and bas, as we said, goes on the concept of yichud. So the zivug v'yichud already starts on some level by Avram. That's what's going on here in all the Tzayir Medrash. That's what he's trying to say. That's the breakdown of what he's trying to get to. Okay. So now that we took care of that sugya, which was in a way a Maamar Mosher, it's Yom Behektim. That Yom Behektim was just to introduce this concept of that we're trying to find the element of bas by the Avis. So we see that Yaakov is considered bas, and now with Avraham Akil, we have the Nekuda of bas already by Avraham. But now we're going to pivot, because if the lead up is that the Nekuda of bas is the concept of Yichud v'Zivug, now we want to bring out a different element, different Nekuda. Something that brought a lot in the Rebbe's Maamarim. What is the avodah of bas? What does bas symbolize? What is bas? Versus, because if you're talking about a yichud, a relationship, there's other forms of relationship, right? As the Medrash brought a lot in the Maamarim, that Mashal Melech, lo yizaz mechavev v'yat shekara bitoi, lo yizaz mechavev v'yat shekara achoisoi, lo yizaz mechavev v'yat shekara imoi. Yeah? Anyone seen this before? This is Maamar Rani B'Simchi. I think here in a few weeks. Is there here Rani B'Simchi? Yeah, here. On Parshas Mikra, it's page 284. Rani B'Simchi over here. Rani B'Simchi Bas Tzion. A lot of the Maamar Rani B'Simchi Bas Tzion speaks about this in Bas. There's a Mugadik Rani B'Simchi in Malukah Daled, Tavshin Chaf Zayin, I believe. Rani B'Simchi Bas Tzion. So there's that the Eibishter calls the Yidden sometimes by the name Bas, Achois, and Aim. Where the Eibishter's daughter, sister, and mother, which is l'cher the most revolutionary. How could be the Eibishter's mother? It sounds a bit interesting, right? So when we're talking about a yichud and a connection, so it doesn't only have to be bas. There's achois, that's a connection. There's ima as a connection, right? In both cases, we're talking about that there's a bas, which is a makabel of a certain relationship. So why are we dafke that the bas achois but ima is a makabel of a certain relationship? Why the focus on bas? Why are we focusing on bas? So bas, the beer of bas that's brought in the Maamarim is, it's in general like this: bas is mitzvahs, achois is limud haTorah, imi is mesiras nefesh, or lamayla mitam b'das, a kesher lamayla mitam b'das. Right, just to understand, like, how could it be imi? What does it mean that word imi? Imi means that yidden are mashpia to the Eibishter. Bas, you're makabel from the Eibishter. Achois, sort of on equal footing, and imi is your mashpia. So what's the connection? Mitzvahs is the Eibishter tells you to do something, you do it. There's a commander. There's a private. There's someone. There's an evet. There's a chayil that's doing what's supposed to be done. So there's mashpia. There's makabel. Achois, there's like brothers and sisters, is sort of equal. How is there equal? Because what happens in Limud Torah, when a person learns Torah, their seichel is misyachid. Yichud nifl shein yichud kamayu is misyachid with the seichel of the Eibishter. So sort of, we're in the Eibishter's field, we're in the Eibishter's world. We understand the way he understands. We're not so much makabel. We more connect with him. Then now we're sort of on the same level as him. Imi is that Yidden are mashpia to the Eibishter, And that, well, so you see, this Indians that you see this by the Nekudah of Mesiras Nefesh, and by Matan Torah, when the Yidden said Nasiv and Ishma, they gave themselves over to the Ibishter, and this brought an Aliyah to the Ibishter, that the Ibishter then took a Kesser, and the Ibishter put one of the Kesarim on himself. In other words, this brought an Aliyah to the Ibishter when we're Moisif to the Ibishter. So that's you're being Mashpia. Fine. So, on the one hand, Ima and Achois are higher than Bas. But there's Dafka a Maila in Bas. And that's the Maila Chayz are bringing out over here. And based off this Maila, we have to change a bit the beer of what the Teuchen here of the Helama Atzmi is in Askala and Avoida b'yachas to the previous Maamar. Now I'm going to leap on the Asbar, but I'm going to go straight to the Avoida to show how we get there. Yisoid? Right. So I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that in a second. I want to leap a bit, and then I'll come back to this to show how I'm getting here. What was the avodah b'poil that comes out of the previous maamar? After all the bells and whistles, what's the actual avodah from the first maamar of what was it? Avram Zakein. Right, there's the Yigiyah. The Yigiyah in Limud HaTorah, and the Erchoizer, learning B'Yigiyah, and Shailis, and Chuvis, right, the whole Arichas, and then also the Nisyonis. And through that you reach the Helam Atzmi, the Helam Shein B'Metzias. What's the maskana of this Maamar? What's the Avodah? So you said, I think you finished before the second to last paragraph, so maybe you didn't get there. But what does he say here? What's the actual Avodah? Here, the last ket on page 274. 5 lines from the top. Very interesting vart. Right, the whole Avraham Zakein, like I said last time, the Rebbe always been saying to Samach Vav, and it's like the Rebbe brings it in Igris and Maamar and Sichas. Yigiyah in Torah, but you're learning B'Yigiyah and Nachtifer, learning B'Ion. Kviyas itim l'Torah. That's the So not nisbal mishum meniyas v'ikuvim. Say that, but where's the yagiyah in Torah? Kviyas itim l'Torah. Kava balabas coming to Ein Yankiv Shiur and kviyas itim l'Torah. Oh, so obviously it could, but the question is why the shift? Why, or just it's another maamar that probably why not, right? But the Chayyim is a diak. There's a flow over here. There's what he's trying to say. So what I think the nekudah is that what's introduced in this maamar is the nekudah of that bakoil is bas. Everything's going to be a bas-oriented avodah and a bas-oriented hasbara. The nekudah of biti. Now, like I mentioned, biti is usually mitzvahs. Achoisi is limud Torah, and imi is mesiras nefesh. So first of all, if we're talking here about limud Torah, and that's the maamar about limud Torah, so why is it bas? It should be achois. Limud Torah. And especially if you're learning b'yigiyah and yimamish come to the Helam Atzmi. I don't know if it's imi, but it's the highest area limud Torah. The yimamish, you're misyachid. What's the Helam Atzmi? Helam Atzmi is basically when a person learns Torah b'yigiyah, then they without yigiyah you learn Torah on surface level. You get there through the way it reached through ishtalshlos. You're not learning chachmas ha'av. Chachmas of the Eibush, the way it's in Atzilis. The way it went through Ishtalshus, it all came down here. But through Yigiyah, you're able to reach Nachecher till you come to the Pnimius HaTorah, and you're mamish learning the way the Eibush learns. It's mamish the ultimate achoy. So why bas? Why the focus on bas? Narvaden, even though bas is the lowest, but it's important the Maamar and the Dafka bas has a major maila. What's the maila of biti? The maila of biti is. The maila biti is number one, be'ofen ha-bittul. The bittul in Torah mitzvah, the bittul in mitzvahs of biti is the ultimate maila. bittul of evet, right? The person's the Torah is ben, oifen klali. Mitzvahs is evet. Torah is geschmack, understand. I just said it's achoy. So nekuda is ben in the context of there's a relationship there. You're involved, you enjoy it, you get it, you understand it. Evet is both. You're doing what you're supposed to, what you're told to do. So you do it. There's very little ego there. Why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I was a different time. Because the Eibishter wants. In the Maamar, the effects of the Shaila, l'cheira, if the vart of bas of mitzvahs is the bittul, and Mesiras Nefesh is the ultimate bittul. But the bittul Mesiras Nefesh is a bittul. It's a bittul where the person is completely involved. You're invested in it. You're putting yourself on the line. The bittul of evet, the bittul of mitzvahs is there's no me, there's no interest, there's no passion, there's no involvement. Why am I doing it? The Eibishter says you have to do it. Which is the lowest level of bittul, the lowest level of avodah. You're just doing because you're forced to do it. But dafke and then is the highest darga of bittul because there's no me, there's no ego. It's the Eibishter wants me to do it, so I'm doing it. It's sort of it's momaila. I'm doing what the Eibishter wants. Fine. So now, that's point A. Next point. He says here at the end of page 2 of the Maamar, that the avodah bas b'chayim yoyim, the last line, the hainu avodah b'kabbalas el v'yirat atah shenikris bas, right? That's bas, the lowest level of bittul, yirat atah, kabbalas el. B'chol hadargish of the yirak shurim zu b'zu k'mavur b'kam k'ayim v'dei avodah zu mamshichim helamat v'kecha inseif. Then he goes on. That's a connection of eretz. That eretz has koyach inseif. Eretz is the ultimate bittul. There's no personality to it. Everyone steps on it. The earth is on bottom of everything, and that's why bas reaches helamat. In other words, if in the previous Maamar, the focus is on the yigiyah, on the gribbling zich, on breaking yourself, and working hard, and sort of it's almost like that's the hard work that it's all about. It's the hard work that brings you to Helamatzmi. Here, what's the emphasis? Here, it's not so much on the hard work as much as it's on the bittul. Legen zich afazait. That it's not about me. In a way, sometimes hard work is dafka. Yes, you're working hard. People are very driven, very motivated. In hard work, there could be a lot of sense of self. But there's another nekuda, and I mentioned one of the Shiurim. This is one of the Rebbe's big chidushim in the whole sugya of ben ve'eved and the sugya of bittul. I believe it's the Rebbe's chiddush that until the Rebbe, the nekuda of eved, the nekuda of bittul was dafke, the hard work that a person invests himself. It's the investment, the tachtin, putting himself in. By the Rebbe, what's the focus on bittul? What's the focus of eved? Nishzich, that it's not about me. It's about what the Eibishter wants. It's mitzad ha'odim, mitzad ha'elikus, mitzad ha'Eibishter. Where the Rebbe says, Noni Mesimchi, the Rebbe says, and therefore when you have a yid l'moshel that has no interest in lost any cheshek, but yet he can't get himself to go against Ratzon Hashem. He does what the Eibishter wants. He has to do the mitzvahs. Why? You'd call it Jewish guilt. Right? Jewish guilt, the is at the bottom rung. It's like at the bottom of the pile. Like, what is that? You're being held by generations of traumatic experiences, right? But the Rebbe's Masber know that dafke this driktzich is the deepest nekuda. That what is the essence of a yid? The Eibishter, the Ratzon Hashem. It's the Eibishter pulling the strings. The Eibishter says, "You have to do it." I feel like I have to do it. Do I want to do it? No. You would ask me if I would sit in a therapy session. You tell me what I really want. I would say I don't want it.
Does this bittul apply equally to Torah and mitzvahs?
So Bichlal said, that's where I'm getting to. So Bichlal, that's the nekuda of mitzvahs. In other words, in Torah is chayes. Torah you understand. There's Havana Vasbara. So it's very hard to speak about that level of bid'ah when speak about Torah. So usually that's why Bas is mitzvahs, not Torah. And the very basic level of Kabbalah Soil, Reish Tzavayid of Kabbalah Soil, before you start learning and understanding and Yichud Kamayu, that's already the next level. That's already Yichud. This is Bittul, pre any Yichud, pre anything. Right, so no, he starts with Yichudim and then he goes into the Kud of Bittul, after the word of Bittul. But then the shaila is 1 second. But that men wegen limud Torah. Yes, it speaks on Nisyoyin as well and other inyanim, but ultimately Avram Zakein is about limud Torah. So the vart of limud Torah, the avoid of limud Torah here has a bit of a shift. What's the vart of limud Torah here? It's not the investment and the gribbling zich and the harving with a chavrusa and a shiur and questions and answers and not being able to sleep at night. I mentioned last week. It's very geschmack to learn the Maamar in Samach Vav. That I was saying to the lot. This of Yigia and Torah. But there's Nachmer. There's a hemshich of the Friedrich Rebbe that's miyusid on the Maamar in Samach Vav. The second half of the hemshich is all about learning Torah be Yigia and different chushim people have, different ways of learning. Very geschmack hemshich. Tafshin Tes. The Hemshech of the later years of the Friedrich Rebbe most of them weren't said then, or none of them were said then. Some of them were actually written. Most of them are Maamar from previous years. So this was the early pays, I think, Pei Gimel or Pei Daled. The Hemshech of Tishrei Tafshin Tes. The second half of the Hemshech starts from Avraham Zakein. Very, very geschmack Hemshech, and people that learn from Avtzon, people learn from Basha, Chushim, Kishreinis, a lot of very geschmack in Yonim. How through Yigia you could mamish change the whole way you see things, the way you understand. That's the Ershta Maamar. Here we're saying a different vart. What's the vart here? Koivim itim letoira ve'ein mespali mishum menis v'yikol. Koivim itim letoira. What's koivim itim letoira ve'ein mespali mishum menis v'yikol? Which Maamar that we all know, because we learn it every year, they speak about the avodah of kviyas itim l'Torah and nothing, no matter what happens. Friedrich Rebbe's Maamar. Basi Lagani. Okay, granted, it's parakase. It's already after Mincha. It's already like the day's winding down, and the excitement of the first two sifim isn't there. Right, so towards the end, so it speaks there about shtos diktusha, shtos shalamai mitamadas. Oh, so he says, how you mahapich the shtos of the lomazet the shtos diktusha? Shtos lomazet is mitutin yonim yibres in Yiddish. Valazoi tutvelt. Yeah, valazoi tutvelt. Azoi does. So you have to mahapich that Indian of just going, rosh bakir, and this is the way it is. Mahapich it shtos diktusha. How? Kviyas itim l'Torah. That no matter what, loy nizes mim koimai. This is what I'm doing. Now it's very interesting. Like that's shtus shalmayel mitamadas. Right, shtus shalmayel mitamadas. The way he brings it in the beginning of Sifhei, Friedrich Rebbe's Maamar, is the different amiroid there to know the dancing with the hadas and Mesiras Nefesh b'derech klal shtus shalmayel mitamadas. That's like the real. That's shtos l'mayim mitamadas. So there's merdik vart in the Rebbe's Maamar Tafshin Tezvav. When the Rebbe's mevayer that Maamar, that's it, right? What's the guy? The Rebbe's mevayer by the years. So the Rebbe says there a vart that really what the Friedrich Rebbe is saying is this. I don't remember right now if the Rebbe says it about this line in the Sif specifically, but see that's the way the Rebbe learns the Sif there. That shtus that. Just like there's lamaila, just like there's bittul shalamaila mitamadas, there's bittul shalamata mitamadas. In the Maamar, it says shtos shalamata mitamadas, that's klippa, and the shtos shalamata mitamadas, that's kedusha. But the Rebbe says just like there's bittul shalamata mitamadas in kedusha, there's bittul shalamata mitamadas. But the bittul shalamata mitamadas is one and mushrish and miyuchad with the bittul shalamaila mitamadas, which is very similar to what he says over here at the end of the page, that all the dargah should be yirach shurim zu bezu. Right, the Yirah Tatah is into the Yirah Ilah. And what's the avodah? So the avodah he brings to the l'chayra shtos shalamayim mitamadas. That's complete yichud nifla. That it's even higher, maybe more than the concept of Mesiras Nefesh. But it's completely connected with the Eibush there. But what's the tangible nekudah he brings out of it? He brings dafke shtos shalam. Sorry, not shtos. Bittul shalamata mitamadas. Bittul shalamata mitamadas is Kabbalah sale. That's Kabbalah sale. The basic Kabbalah sale. The kviyas itim l'Torah. The kviyas itim l'Torah, that's the bittul shalamat mitamadas. Bittul, right? You're talking about shtus the kedusha, really coming to kviyas itim once a day, once a week. That's bittul shalamat mitamadas. It's a simple bittul. There's no over sophistication here. It's a pashta yid coming to kviyas itim l'Torah. But in den drikt sich eis. So there we're saying that bittul is mushrish and the bittul shalamat mitamadas. But the emes is, and the other Maamar it's mevur, and the Geroni Besimchi, Nachmer. It's not just that the Bittul Shlomayim Mitam Hadas is mushrish and connected to the Bittul Shlomayim Mitam Hadas, but Imek Yoyser it's Nach Tifer. The Bittul Shlomayim Mitam Hadas is Imi. The Bittul Shlomayim Mitam Hadas is Biti. Dafka Bas, Dafka Oretz. Dafka this Bittul where there's no self, there's no even sense of Bittul. There's no even Ich bin Batul. Rather, the Eibishter wants something, I'm doing it. Eis is schwer, beseder. I'm coming to my Kviyas Sittim L'Torah. Dafka this bittul is what brings the Hela Ma'atzmi. The Hela Ma'atzmi is Behelam. The Hela Ma'atzmi to Begili is when Mashiach comes. But then it seems at the end of the Maamar that Rebbe is saying that even today we have a Psashaychus to them, that this Hela Ma'atzmi, we could have some sort of Gili today. How's that? That's in the brackets, 4 lines from the bottom. Yedias dover ze achshav moisefes v'chayis ba'avayda. So one could b'chaler sees not Mashiach. Yes, the Chayisara, famous Sikh Chayisara Nun Beis. When a person thinks about Mashiach, you're living in the future, so you already have shaykhs to that gilui. Right now a person doing their avodah, they don't see the paytas. But when you're starting to visualize, when you think about the schar and you realize that the gilui hamatzmi and you translate it, you understand what it means, and the gilui, of course, the bilas lavai. So already now, just this boinenus and knowing about it gives you a chayis, right? The person could see the future. You raise a noilad, you see what's going to bring. There's a geshmak over there. There's a gilui. So you're already able to somewhat taste this gilui, or at least have a chayis from this gilui already today. But a gilui of what? Of that simple bittul of kviyas itim l'toira and not being misball from anything. There's a big mila to the bittul of the first week of the first Maamar, which is the yigiyah. But here we're saying, what's the bittul? Kviyas itim l'toira. Look in the Maamar Roni V'Simchi Chav Zayin. It's a short Maamar. You'll go through that Maamar. You'll understand a bit more than Bo'emek than I was trying to say here about Biti. Probably you guys know the Maamar. Sure, if you have it's one of the Maamar that are Chazard. Yeah, the Mugadik Maamar. Yeah, Roni V'Simchi. The Milo of Bas. Oh, so there he asked. There it's a different part. Here we're saying, how do you have Simcha with such bittul, or how do you have Gilui? Here he says, through being Yedeya, what's going to be lost in love. There he says, if a person's doing a such bittul, then how do you have Simcha? Rani Simcha Bastzian through his kashrus. Bastzian through his kashrus tzaddik. Right, very good. Yeah.
Just a side question. How come we tell tzaddik for the raya or whatever? Maybe doesn't use that lashon, but we always see this
Right, it's good shaila. I'm saying, but what's the mucker for that? That through his avedi saying that's also in Zoyar. Now, what does it say that he brought the yichudim down through that?
I always Shalom was telling me, yeah,
maybe doesn't say yichudim. That's a shaila. What does it say? Is that lashon? Yeah. There's miyachid yichudim. Whose lashon is that? Say the shaila is if in Kabbalah. Shaila is what's the mucker in Kabbalah for it? Maybe it's the mucker. That's taka zen. I was thinking about it, I just wasn't sure.
There's no question why Avraham was Nitzel because of Yaakov.
Why what?
Avraham was Nitzel because of Yaakov, even though it's...
Fine, stop.
Yes, why not Terech and those? Because Terech already had Avraham didn't have Yitzchak yet, there would be no Hemshech.
You're saying, why can't Avraham be saved? Why can't Avraham be saved as Chus himself?
Oh, something else.
In Perek Lamed Beis, Yaakov Shapot this Avraham, what's the vart? The Yaakov is Tifer, is Rachamim. Right? What's the word Perek Lamed Beis? Avraham is Chesed. Yaakov is Rachamim. And if you have someone that you have a sinami mitzad Rasha behem, and the Ava mitzad Toiv shebehem, but the Shaz, what's the Yachas Klali to the person mitzad Rachmanos? The Yachas Klali is Ava. Yaakov Shapot this Avraham.